Well, hello, my name's Louise Savage and extremely warm even, welcome to my channel, Louise Savage Muses, where I like to muse on about books. Really warm welcome if you're a returning viewer, and an equally warm welcome if you are joining me for the very first time. Now, normally I'm quite slow and laborious when I'm talking about books. I don't rush, but I thought it might be fun to do this quite quickly. So this I did do the mid-year freak out tag a few years ago, but I don't think I did it last year. I could be wrong. So I thought it might be fun to do it again. And I was having a chat with Simon, and he said, "Yeah, Mum, you should do it." So he just pinged me the sort of questions. And the first question, so I've got my books ready. I've got the post-it notes on my books to remind me what the questions are. So I'm going to kind of rip them off as I muse, waffle, whatever. So the first question is, oh, and by the way, these are not in order. I got the order all in a muddle. So if any of you are offended by that, I just apologise. I'm not organised enough. But I do know the first question is, how's your reading year going so far? And I can absolutely say I'm having the most delightful reading year. It's been really fun. I've read lots of books by authors that I've not encountered before. I've read some books by authors I've known and loved for many years. I've read lots of fiction, I've read lots of non-fiction. I haven't read many books by men, I don't think, this year, and I'd quite like to put that a bit straight. But yeah, no, it's been a really varied sort of diet, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. And now for the rest of the year, because one of the things is, what are my reading plans? I think that's where I'm supposed to finish up, but I'm going to mention reading plans now, because actually for the remainder of this year, I don't think I've actually got any. I am going away on holiday soon, so I'm going to have to plan that, because I'll need to take some books with me. But that's probably about as far as my planning is going. I think Simon and I maybe discussed possibly looking at the booker. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, no, I am devoid of plans, so I'm quite happy about that. And another question that I'm not going to answer is what my best book so far is, because I'm not quite sure that I know that yet. We're only 6 months in, and yes, I've got some strong favourites, and I'll be talking about those in a week or two. But I just don't know yet which is my favourite book of the year so far. So you're just going to have to wait for me to ponder that a bit more carefully. So next question I've got here on my little pile of books, because it would be quite nice to get to an actual book now, is what new release have I not read but want to? So a book that came out, I think, earlier this year, February, yes, was Old Soul by Susan Barker. And I've had this copy, I think, since February. And I've been desperate to get to it. But of course, in February, I was reading the Women's Prize for non-fiction long list. So it wasn't going to get a look in, I'm afraid. And now we're already in June. So yeah, I can't believe I haven't got to this book yet, because I absolutely loved, and it's gone out of my head. What was her other novel called? It's not on the back there. It's just gone. But I absolutely adored her first novel that I read, and yeah, loved it so much. Can't remember the title. That's a bit rubbish, Louise. Get a grip. But yeah, I really want to read Old Soul. Next question. Who is your new favourite author? Well, that's quite divisive, isn't it? But certainly one of the authors that I've come across this year that I'd never read anything by before, and I absolutely adored this book, is Banana Yoshimoto. So I read the book Kitchen and just thought this was utterly amazing. So I need to find more work by Banana, and I don't know that there are many books out there to go for, but hey, that's, you know, absolutely a firm favourite, because this is the most beautifully written book. It's just stunning, and it's still very much with me, even though I read it quite a while ago. New favourite fictional character, without doubt, it is Nora Breen. So this is a new sort of murder, Agatha Christie style sort of murder mystery series, which Jess Kidd, who I think is an absolutely adorable writer, I think she's already written the second one, but I don't know when it'll be out. And I just loved, she's a former nun. She's solving this case in a sort of boarding house in a seaside town. that's faded grandeur after the war, and I just loved her as a personality. You know, she's generous, she's thoughtful, she notices things, and she's got a really good relationship with her sort of sidekick, the local copper. So I can't wait for more of these. I thought this was a gem. So yeah, Nora Breen, absolutely hands up to her. It wasn't difficult to choose a book that made me cry, because this book made me sob literally. It's called The Story of the Heart by Rachel Clarke, and it's non-fiction, but this book made me sob and sob and sob, because it's the story of two families. One family with a daughter, Kira, who is awaiting, who has been put in a coma because she's not going to survive. She's got the most devastating injuries following an accident, and she is going to donate her heart to Max, this little boy. And I just found, I think this is an absolutely superb piece of writing. It just won the Women's Prize for non-fiction, for which I congratulate Rachel Clarke wholeheartedly, and I really want to go away and read her other books as well. But she, it's just humbling the way she tells this story, beautifully told, very respectful to both families, and it's a celebration really of what human beings are capable of, even in the most difficult circumstances. Now, one of the questions was the best sequel. Well, I've only read one sequel, and I thought it was going to be the best sequel, but it turned out it wasn't, because it's also my biggest disappointment of the year so far, I'm afraid. And this is And So I Roar. Now, it doesn't say that on the front because this is a Ujima copy. Oh my goodness, words are... Because I'm trying to be quick, I can't think of the flipping words. But I absolutely loved The Girl with the Louding Voice. I thought it was superb. It was one of my favourite books of whatever year it was. I read it either last year or the year before. I don't think it was the year it came out. It took me a while to get around to it. So I was really looking forward to reading this. And I was really disappointed by it. Now, I'm not going to say why, because I shall explain that in my my reading wrap up for June, because I've only quite recently finished it. But oh, that's a teaser, isn't it? Possibly. But yeah, I really, yeah, I was very disappointed. Yeah. The most beautiful book that I have bought this year. Well, I didn't actually buy this book. Sorry, that's a bit of a cheat. But it was sent to me in the non-fiction box for the Women's Prize in the long list. And it's Lulu Miller's Why Fish Don't Exist. Now, I did really like the cover. But what's beautiful about this book is what's inside it, because this book is illustrated with the most fantastic woodcut illustrations. There's something really old-fashioned and beautiful about them. I'm just trying to find one. Here's one, for example. They've almost got a texture to them. You know, they feel like they're very 3D. I'm just trying to remember who the illustrations by Kate Samworth. And everything about this book physically, I think, is really beautiful. It's almost a palm size book to hold, so it's beautiful to hold. The cover is made of this lovely paper that sort of feels, it's got a very slight texture to it, so it doesn't slip out your hand. If you wanted to read it in the bath, you'd be perfectly secure with it. It's nice and light, it's not too heavy. So I just think this is a beautifully presented book, and I adored the book. It's about, it sounded, you know, when I read what it was about, I really thought this is not going to be a book for me. But it's about a Victorian taxonomist. It's also about Lulu's relationship with her own father, who admired this taxonomist. And it's about how Lulu looks into this taxonomist's life and finds out all sorts of things that she didn't know. And it's really revealing, actually, about America as well as a society, and what it chooses to celebrate and what it doesn't. So yeah, I loved it. Book that made me happy. Well, without a doubt, a book that I really, it made me smile a lot, this book, was Raising Hare by Chloe Dalton. It's the story of her taking into her home this beautiful creature that had been injured, a young leveret, which is a young hare, and it was she took it into her home and basically lived with this hare without domesticating it in any way, in the hope that it would then be able to survive again in the wild. And you know, to her knowledge, that had never actually been done before. All the people that she asked for advice, vets, family, etc., etc., it had never happened. And there is something really joyful about joining Chloe in her relationship with this animal. We have a lot of hares around where I live. I think they're absolutely beautiful. In fact, one of my recent acquisitions for my lawn is a sculpture of a hare. It's lovely. It's shining out there now in the sunlight. It's made of steel. Yeah, there's a lot to celebrate in this book. It really brought me a lot of joy. And finally, what books do I need to read by the end of the year? Well, I need to read Rapture by Emily Maguire, because Simon Savage, my son, keeps banging on about this. He very kindly bought me this copy. It's a beautiful cover, and it's a kind of medieval female pope, historical fiction. It sounds really gripping. I don't know much more about it. I just look at that. It's like it's an illusion, isn't it? That cover. Oh, look, spooky. Is it a face? Is it three women? What is it? So yeah, I am desperate to read this, but again, who knows? Because I have a massive TBR, which is lovely, and I'm very privileged. I know that, to have that. So I'm not quite sure when I'll get around to it, but I really want to get around to it soon. One of the questions there were two questions that I've ignored. The one is, who's your fictional crush? I don't know. It's really weird. I just don't read in that way. I just, or at least this year, certainly, there's not been anything I've read where I thought, oh, you know, wouldn't mind being in the room with them. And also my most anticipated release of the second half of the year, and that's because you may be aware, I don't tend to necessarily keep up with new releases unless it's an author that, yeah, even then, you know, it could be an author that I absolutely, it could be Maguire, for example, or Kate Atkinson or someone, and I probably wouldn't know until I walked into a bookshop that they'd produced a new book. I don't keep my ears to the ground in that way, and that's probably a terrible thing for somebody who likes to think of themselves as a bit of a booktuber in their spare time to admit to, but it's just the truth. I love walking into bookshops and seeing what's out there. Obviously I hear about things as well when I occasionally make time to look at what other booktubers are doing, and again, that's lazy, I know, but there are only so many hours in the day, and I have a lot of other hobbies too. So yeah, I can't really answer that question right now. If I'd been to a bookshop this morning, I would probably be able to tell you. But no. So there we are. So I hope, you know, you found that interesting. I really enjoyed doing it. It's really lovely, actually, to reflect on these things. And it's probably one of the moments in the year when I will actually go and have a look at what other booktubers are saying in response to this tag, because it's quite good at getting a snapshot, isn't it, of what's lighting up the book world. Anyway, happy reading, everybody. Let me know what your favourite books have been, which books have floated your boat, what new authors have you discovered, which book made you cry, etc., etc. I'm always really interested to hear your thoughts. And by the way, sometimes I just have to apologise, because sometimes I'm really slow to get on with my comments, because I like to reply to everybody if I can, link below, and I think sometimes that's me, because I just get really busy, so it takes me a week or so to actually respond if I'm travelling or whatever I'm doing, or with the family. But sometimes they somehow get hidden, and I don't know whether that's me being disorganised or whether it's YouTube. It's probably a case of workmen blaming tools. But yeah, if you write a comment and I haven't got back to you, I can only apologise. It's just my dizziness and yeah, just a lot going on. Anyway, take care. Happy reading, everybody. Bye.